This is Gemara Pesachim Daf Lamed of learning for the Chedesh of Tevis has been sponsored as a schos Lila Nishmasov Lila Rasha Bas Rav Arya Leib, as well as a schos Lila Nishama of Arya Leib and Yaakov and Nishama Shavan Aliyah. Of course, all Rechedim Chaimiz Ben Malki Nemir Ben Akir Men Ben Chaim Starts from Sin Reizel Sar Vaskan Liv Azim Chaisar Yischaim Sar Eser Yisrael Ben Mental Yis with the Shavleshim is the Navi Shaviku Shachan Val Devini Teriva. Tanil Chanavizel Donay Liva Rachav Astavi Musa Avram Tzvi Ben Masha Eser Ben Chalos Ben Niseli Yehuva Pesachim Chalis as well as is Chosiv of Gatalia Basita. Of course, one more time, please everyone update the Chelim list, number one, and number two, if anyone would like to check out our 4-minute review, Baruch Hashem, people have been enjoying it immensely, and I hope you do as well. Let's pick it up over here on Chav Testament Beis as promised. As you see in front of you, a little bit of different setup. There's a chart on top of us. That's the chart of this Amud, as so eloquently described. We did it, the Aseres B'nai Haman on yesterday as we flew through it. So I believe this chart will really help us, again, fly through it, but fly through it with clarity. So let's pick it up over here, Chav Testament Beis. We're at the 2 dots, and actually we'll just give a quick overview as you see in the chart, which will make life a lot easier. We're going to have 3 shitas. We're going to have Rav, we're going to have Shmuel, and Rav Yechanan, and then we're going to have 2 different times, Bizmanai on Pesach, Shlei Bizmanai Nana Pesach. And within each time, we're going to have Biminai and Shlei Biminai. Is the chametz falling into an item of like type or not like type? What is called Minai, what is called Shlei B'minai? Is it dependent upon taste? Is it dependent upon name? Okay, these are all big machlekes in trend, the sugyas. Let's at least get the Gemara. So says Gemara, Amar Rav, Chametz Bizmanai, Bein B'minai, Bein Shlei B'minai Aser. Shlei Bizmanai, B'minai Aser, Shlei B'minai Mutter. That was the statement of Rav, and as we're going to see at each shita, Rav, Shmuel, and Rav Yechanan, the Gemara will explain at intervals what each shita holds. So let's begin with Rav. Rav just taught us that during the time of Pesach, everything is Aser. Not Pesach, only B'minoi is going to be Aser, Shlei B'minoi is going to be Mutter. And so explains the Gemara. But Mayaskina, what is the case? Now this case that the Gemara is going to explain in Rav is going to follow through to the entire discussion of Rav, Shmuel, and Rav Yechanan. So let's hone in. But Mayaskina, Ilema, if you're going to tell me, B'noisin Tam, that the item, the chametz, is giving off a taste. We have a piece of bread that falls into, I don't know, a soup, and that piece of bread is giving a taste to the soup, Noisin Tam. Okay, that's also a difficult complication. One is a liquid, one is a solid. Okay, let's not get complicated. Says the Gemara, if it's nice and tam, then shaloi bizmanai, shaloi b'minai mutter. How could it be mutter? How you have taima? How can you tell me that not on Pesach, when it falls into not like item, it's going to be mutter? It's giving off a taste, and we know, of course, anything that gives off a taste can't become bottled, cannot be nullified. Ella b'mashu. Rather, what are we discussing? Mashu chametz. We're discussing a dot of chametz that does not give off taste. Bizmanai during Pesach, bein b'minai, bein shaloi b'minai is aser. Why is it aser? Explains the Gemara. Rav l'taimei, and here we go one more time. I'm sorry. Rav l'taimei. Rav goes according to his reasoning. Rav u'shmol dar mitavai kol isurin shabbat Torah b'minam b'mashu. That all isurim of the Torah, Biminam, when they're in their own item, bimashu, they infect and they are not bottled bimashu, and that is the reason why bimashu it's going to be Aser. Shaloi b'minan b'noisin tam. When it falls in something, shaloi b'minan b'noisin tam. Only when, if it's not in the right item, it's only when it gives off taste. So if it gives off taste, we said, what's our case? It's not giving off taste. So Rav Gazar Chametz bizmanoi, Rav Gazar Chametz bizmanoi, shaloi b'minoi atu minoi. Rav made a gezira that during Pesach, shaloi b'minoi, even though it should not be aser, it should be bottled. Why should it be bottled? Because it's not giving off taste. Rav made a gzera in that case. Okay, now we explain bizmanai. Shaloi bizmanai after Pesach b'minai, it's going to be aser. Why is it going to be aser after Pesach? Rev Yehuda, pulls us back to the previous sugya. Rev Yehuda holds it after Pesach, everything is aser. V'shaloi b'minai, when it's not in a like item mutter. Why? T'shaloi bizmanai, v'shaloi b'minai, atu minai, to make gzeira, because a minai bizmanai, kulei ayla gezrinan is not a gzeira. So Rav again holds the case is a mashu, when it's, actually, we'll chazer over everything, we'll pull up the chart nice and big, and then we'll run through it. That is the sheet of Rav. Rav is going with Rav Yehuda, Rav is going with a mashu, Rav is going with a gzeira. Shmuel Amar Shmuel comes along and he says, Chametz bizmanai b'minai aser, shaloi b'minai mut. Says Shmuel, on Pesach it's only aser if it falls into a like item. A non-like item will be bottled, be mutter. Shaloi bizmanai bein b'minai shaloi b'minai mutter. After Pesach, everything's mutter. We're going to understand that why in a moment very quickly. Explains the Gemara. Chametz bizmano b'mina yaser. Why? Shmuel tamei deravu Shmuel dermer tavaya kol yisurin shabater b'mina asur b'mashu. Just like Rav, mashu. Shaloi b'minai, when it's not a like item, b'noisin tam, shaloi b'minai, atamina like gazer. Shmuel doesn't hold to this gezerah. Rav made a gezerah, Shmuel says no. Shaloi bizmano, after Pesach, b'mina mutarim. Why? Ki Rav Shimon. Shmuel goes to Rav Shimon. So again, Rav went to Rav Yehuda, gezerah. Shmuel went Rav Shimon, no gezerah. Rav Yochanan amar chametz bizmanai, bein b'mina bein shaloi b'minai aser. During Pesach atol aser. What? B'noisin tam, very important. So only if it gives off taste. What's our discussion? Shaloi noisin tam. Does not give off taste. So it'll be mutter. Shaloi bizmanai bein b'mina shaloi b'minai mutter. Why? Now the Gemara explains. Chametz bizmanai bein b'mina shaloi b'minai b'noisin tam. Why? Rav Yochanan the time made. Rav Yochanan Reish Lakish. Because Rav Yochanan Reish Lakish Darmei Tavayu Kol Yisurim Shabbat Teira, all Yisurim of. I'm sorry, I don't know why this keeps on happening. One more time. Darmei Tavayu Kol Yisurim Shabbat Teira Bein B'mina Shel B'minan B'noisein Tam. That's Rav Yochanan. So in our case, that Noisein Tam will be mutter. Shaloi Bizmanai Bein B'mina Shel B'minan mutter Kirav Shimon. That was the difficult discussion made hopefully a bit easier. Now let's go. Let's pull up the chart, nice and big, and let's go a quick chazara into these three shitas before we go to today's daf Lamed. Again, we have three shitas. We have Rav Shmuel and Rav Yochanan. We have Bizmani and we have Shaloi Bizmani. What's going on over here? Let's go. First line, Rav. What does Rav hold? Rav holds that we're dealing with a mashu. We're not dealing with something that gives off time. Because something gives off time, it should always be us. So we deal with a mashu that does not give off time. If it falls in a like substance, it's not batal. It's also. Falls in a not like substance, it should be mutter. Because it doesn't give off time. Rav makes it zero. Shaloi Bizmani after Pesach, Rav says it's aser. Why is it aser? If it's b'minai, it's like Rav Yehuda after Pesach, it's aser. Shaloi Bizmanai, it's going to be mutter. Why is it going to be mutter? That's too much of a gzira. Comes like Shmuel, and Shmuel says in the first line, I agree with you, Rav. B'minai, b'mashu, it's going to be aser, because it's a mashu. Rav and Shmuel, they have the same opinion. Shaloi b'minai. Shmuel's going to say, I don't make a gzera. Shaloi b'zmanai, after Pesach. Says Shmuel, everything is mutter. Rav Shimon holds, there's no din of chamish of Pesach. After Pesach, everything is mutter. Comes like Rav Yochanan, and in this chart, we gave their dinim to fit that all the cases are be'inoi noisin tam. Says Rav Yochanan, bizmanai, everything is mutter. Why? Because Yochanan only holds that something will be aser, something will not be batal if it gives off taste. He argues with Rav Shmuel that din of a mashu. Rav Yochanan holds if it does not give off taste, it is mutter. Shaloi bizmanai also holds is mutter, like the opinion of Rav Shimon. I hope that made everything a bit simpler. Now we continue moving along to today's daf. B'siyat Shmaya, we should have time to finish everything. Amar Rava comes like Rava, and Rava says, Hilchasa, what's the halacha? We just had a lengthy discussion. Rav Shmuel, Rav Yochanan. Chametz bizmanai bein b'mina bein shaloi b'minai. Aser b'mashu, whether it's b'mina shaloi b'minai, kirav, like the shita of Rav. Shaloi bizmanai, when it's not on Pesach, bein b'mina shaloi b'minai motor, kirav Shimon. So we're taking sides over here. The first din we're going with Rav. The second din we're going with Shmuel and Rav Yochanan. I'll just point out, big Rashi, big Taisis over here. When we say Amar Rav Helchasa, Chametz, is this a din only by Chametz? Is this a din called Tarakula? Are we really saying that we're not going to have a din of Bittul? Listen to those words. Chametz bizmanai on Pesach is never going to be Batul. Okay, perhaps now we're going to go with regard to Chametz. What about with regard to all other dinim? We know that generally we go with Bittul B'shishim on regular Isser V'heter Bas V'chalav. Big discussion here. Rashi, Taisis exactly how to learn over here. If you see Rashi in the last narrow wide line, Rashi says, Hadikayim Blan Ko it's only b'shaloi b'minan. We know we paskin even b'minan, but again, we'll leave that lengthy discussion. That is Rava. That is how we paskin. Says Gemara, is that true? Mimar Rava. Does Rav really hold that? Rava says, Rav Shimon kanasa kanis. Rav Shimon, does Rav Shimon really hold? You just told me after Pesach, Rav Shimon, everything is mutter. What do you mean? We said midrabanan and it's aser kanas. Since you're from Bali Rabbi Matzeh. Answers the Gemara, when is there gzira? When is there kanas? When it's be'en, when it's intact. When it's mixed together, there's going to be no kanas. Rav goes according to his reasoning. When the 7 days of Pesach passed by, some of our should point out it was really the 8 days of Pesach because he wasn't in Eretz Yisrael. Go out and buy the chametz of the bnei chelu of the Nachem, as Rashi points out. because after Pesach, there's not going to be any issue. That was that lengthy discussion. B'siyat Dishmaya, I hope everything is a bit clear. Let's continue the 2 dots, about 7 lines down. Amar Rav. We're now going to get into Dinam of Hagala, Kashring, making things mutter on Pesach. Of course, tremendous sugyas. Let's at least gleam the Iker Dinim that we will see, the Iker concepts. Amar Rav, Kedei Rois B'Pesach Yishbru. Pots on Pesach, you got to break. Says Gemara, V'amai. Why do you keep them from after Pesach? What are we talking about? We're talking about a pot that the problem is, as Rashi points out, Rav l'taimei da'amar chametz af la'achar zmana is going to be aser b'ana, like the opinion of Rav Yehuda, and therefore the mashu is going to be aser. And the problem is that, so you have a pot is belias, that's something that is absorbed into the walls, the taste absorbed into the walls of the pot. Says Rav, you got to break it. Why? Because you can't use it. It's going to be usher even after Pesach. Ask the Gemara, why? We keep it around till after Pesach and use it shaloi b'minon. And Gezira answers, and therefore it should be mutter, because shaloi b'minon after Pesach, Rav agreed was mutter. Says the Gemara, Gezira dama asel mevid b'hu b'minon. We're afraid you might come to use it b'minon with its own item, which will not be badal. Ul Shmuel Amar, and Shmuel says, lo yishbru, you don't have to break it. Aval mashi lu la'achar zmanai, you wait till after Pesach, laviru bein b'mina bein shaloi b'minai. Why? We understand this. Vaz Shmuel l'tamei damar Shmuel, la'anu the mizvin kandi, for those who sold pots. Says Shmuel, Ashvu zavinu achdinaichu. Go and sell your pots. V'lo hidarshinu l'chuk Rav Shimon. Go, and he wanted to regulate the price of the pots. And he told the store owners, if you don't sell it at a regular price, you know what's going to happen? I'm going to darshan like Rav Shimon. Which is what? That everything is mutter after Pesach. Therefore they don't have to throw out their pots at all. So Shmuel says, you don't have to break pots really after Pesach. You're allowed to take your pots that are left over, and they're mutter. Because Shmuel goes to Rav Shimon. Says the Gemara, 1 second. So why doesn't Shmuel get up and say that? Tell everyone we go with Rav Shimon, and don't break your pots. Why are they buying new pots? Says the Gemara, Dash Shmuel Rav Shimon Svirle. Because Shmuel holds like Rav Shimon, which holds after Pesach is mutter. Says the Gemara, Asay de Ravo. It was the place of Rav. In the place of Rav, he didn't want to paskin like. And that's the reason why he just regulated the prices, and he threatened at some level that he'll paskin like Rav Shimon in order to regulate the prices. And again, those were 2 stories. Rav going to his shita like Rav Yehuda, that after Pesach things are still aser. Shmuel going to his shita like Rav Shimon, that after Pesach it's mutter. Says the Gemara, Ahu Tanura, there was an oven that was smeared with some forbidden fats. Rashi says, you see a Rashi over here, the last line, the first white line, some fats are on the oven, and those fats are now going to cook. Whenever you make bread, the fat is going to go into the bread. Says the Gemara, Asra Rava Bar Ilai Lamechle L'Rifta. He said you can't eat the bread afilu b'milcha, even with salt, la'ilam, forever. Why? Dilma asi lemechla bekutcha. Because if you keep that bread around, that bread is fleshing bread. So what's going to happen? You might come and eat that bread with kutcha. What is kutcha? Kutach is that we had that kutach habavli is that dip that has milk in it, and therefore we're afraid you can come to eat it with kutach. As you see in the last Rashi says, afilu b'milcha. Why did we say afilu b'milcha? She'in derech lachobas b'loy melcha lift. And you always eat the bread with something. So Meisvei says the Gemara, 1 second. You just told me that what are you going to do? You got this oven that's smeared with this meat. You got to break the oven. Meisvei ein loshin as isa b'chalav. You cannot knead the dough with milk. Vim lash. And if you did that, and if you kneaded the dough with milk, then what's the halacha? I'm sorry that the pages keep on flipping on us. Apologies. Vim lash. What's the halacha? Kol abas kula asura. All the bread is awesome. Because it's normal to put the bread together with meat. This sugya of milchik bread, the isser of milchik bread, we're really going to come back to in about a week's time, so we'll discuss it more. I'll link there. But I'm sure many people over Hanukkah saw donuts, and they have different ways of making it, because donuts at some level are bread. Sometimes they put little stickers, chalavi on them, etc. But anyway, says the Gemara, the bread is aser. Similarly, moving along to Lamed Amid Beis, says the Gemara, Ein tashin es atanur ba'alya. You cannot smear the oven with alya, which is the tail, which is fleshings, with his meaty fats. Vim tash kol abas kula asura. All the bread is aser, but now the Bryce adds in crucial words. Ad sheyatzik as atanur, until you fire up the oven. So what do we see? That once you fire up the oven, it's going to be mutter. You told me in oven almond aleph that you have this oven that you smear with fat. Lo ilam it's aser. Says Gemara, why is it leilam aser? What are you talking about? We see over here that once you husakat tanur, once you fire up the oven, it's going to be fine. Says the Gemara, Tiyufta, Rabbi Bar Eloi, Tiyufta. You're right, Rabbi Bar Eloi, you're incorrect. You could kasha the oven. Amar le Ravina le Ravashi. Once we said that Rabbi Bar Eloi is incorrect, so why is Rav breaking the pots on Pesach? Why doesn't Rav just say you could kasha the pots? Amar le, very important differentiation. One of the first big rules we're going to have here in kashering. Hasam tanur shel mateches, hachab kedir shel cheres. Mateches, metal, you can kasher. Cheres, earthenware, you can't kasher. Rav said the pots are made out of cheres. What do we got to do? We got to break the pot. Teretz number 1. Teretz number 2 says Gemara Biba Yisema Hava Bishal Cheres. It's all talking about earthenware. However, Zasi Sikam Bibifnim, Zasi Sikam Bibifnotz. One, the fire was inside. So when the fire is inside, then you can kasher it. You put more fire inside. When the fire was outside, there's no way to kasher it. Says Gemara, V'chitema, but you're going to tell me Achanam Levele Asakam Bibifnim. So why don't you just make another fire inside? Sorry, the opposite. When the fire is outside, you can kasher. When the fire is inside, you can't. Ask Gemara why. You just make the fire inside. Take the pot, flip it over, and you have the fire inside. Says the Gemara, such an important line. Chayis alei mishom depaka. You're afraid it's going to break, which that is a tremendous rule in all of kashering. That any time you're afraid that something is going to break, you cannot kasher it. Says Rashi in the Tab Rashi. That Isharis Le'adeh Hasik upon him. That's okay. It's machlek exactly what is the chayis lei might break, but very important. Any time that you're afraid something might break, it is usher to kasher. The pashut understanding is because if we allow you to kasher, we're afraid you're not going to do a good job. Why? What do you mean? I'll just take my blowtorch. No, you're not. You're not going to want to break your fancy counters. You're not going to break the deep fryer. Again, different items, different materials, whatever the case is. But any time someone is afraid that the item will break, it is usher to kasher. That is the line. Chayis lei misham depaka that it might break. Says Gemara Hilkach. What do we see from that din? Hi buchya. This it's a tile ring. They used to fire up from the outside, but it's going to be forbidden. However, but if you fill it up with bricks, coals, then it's okay because you're putting the fire inside again. Because you're putting the fire where the fire was, then it'll be okay. And then basically, we'll see in a few moments. Basically, the rule is that the same way that the belia, the absorbed taste goes in, is the way to get it out. And that's basically what's going on over here. The Gemara explains in a few moments. But just so we don't have confusion, that if the fire is outside, you got to put fire outside to burn out the forbidden taste, to burn out the chametz. The fire is inside, you got to put the fire on the inside. These knives. What should we do with knives and Pesach? We know knives are always difficult items. Why? Normally, as we'll see in a few moments, the only way to get a belia, to get an absorbed taste inside an item is with heat. But a knife could get a belia even without heat. That's the reason why everyone should always have a pyre knife. Why? Because when you cut an onion, the pushing of the knife into the sharp onion pushes the belia directly in. And that's the reason why if you have a fleshing knife and you cut your oven's not flesh, onion's not fleshiks, it pushes it in. So they wanted to know, what do we do on Pesach with the knives? Amar lei. So Rav Ashi responded, I buy new ones. Amar lei. Ravina says, you have money, you can buy new knives. What about the rest of us? We don't have money to afford new knives every year. What should we do? Amar lei. I mean, I make them as if they're new, meaning I kasha them. How do I kasha them? Katayu betina. I cover up the handle with clay, uparzilayu benura, and the blade, which is iron, I put it in a fire. And then I unwrap the handle, and I put it in boiling water. He's doing a two-stage process. The blade, which is iron, he's putting in a fire, and the handle, which is clay, he's wrapping when it's in the fire so as to get root. Then he's unwrapping and doing hagala, putting it in boiling water. They both could be kasher with boiling water and with a kli rishon. What exactly does it mean b'kli rishon? Does that mean that it has to be a kli rishon ala eish, meaning it has to be a bubbling pot on the fire? The Gemara maybe sounds almost like kli rishon, meaning not on the eish. Okay, machlekes rishonim, but generally when we're going to Kasher things, let's say for example a simple case like silverware, a regular knife, we're going to have a boiling hot pot on the flame and we're going to dump it in while it is boiling. But again, that is a machlekes rishonim, how to learn this line of Bikli Rishon. Amar Ravuna Brei Rav Yeshua, 8 parer, you have a wooden mixing spoon. Magiloi bereis chanu Bikli Rishon. How do you kasher? You do hagala with boiling water in the Kli Rishon. Kisavar, such tremendous words we have today. Keboloi kach poltai. That is the catchphrase we need to know when it comes to kashering. You hear this all the time, Pesach, when it comes to kashering. Keboloi kach poltai. Basically, the same way it goes in is the same way it comes out. This wooden mixing spoon, where do you use it? Use it on the flame. Use it inside your soup. Use it inside boiling hot water on a flame. So to kasher, you got to put it back in boiling hot water on a flame. For example, if you have something that you use on a fire itself, a spit that's used on a fire, a frying pan that's used on a fire, then the way to kasher it is not with boiling hot water. Then the way to kasher it is with ish, is with fire, is with Libon, is with a boiling hot flame. Again, that is the rule of keboloi kach poltai. Let's finish up to the Mishnah. Boy minei meira meimar hani mani de kunya ma'u shtamishu bepescha. These kelim of kunya, which were earthenware kelim that were covered over with iron, can we use them at Pesach? Says Gemara. Yeruka loiti ba'elecha adavad asir. The green ones, I'm not asking a question for sure. Aser. What's the green ones? Rashi says the green clay was highly absorbent, so that absorbed all the bliya. There's no way to kash that. Ki t'vaylechu b'ochma chiyuvra. The black and white ones. What's the halacha? When there are cracks in it as well. Like I'm not asking you. You have clay with a crack. The bliya is going to go in. The absorbed taste is going to go in. There's no way to get that out. What's the question? The shia mai when it's smooth. Amar lei chazina leho de midyasya alma balia viasira. So you responded. What do you respond? That I see chazina lehu. I see that the midyasa, that it sweats, that keli sweats. We see that there's liquid condensation on the outside. Almos, what do we see? Bali, we see that it's absorbing va'asiri, and therefore these earthenware kelim, even though they're lined with iron, they're covered, it's still going to be asira. It's still going to be aser. That it never leaves its defectiveness. Klei cheres, you can never kasher. Klei cheres, unfortunately, becomes treif. You just got to break it. You cannot move it back from chametz to chametz to Pesach, etc. Says the Gemara, 1 second. Why is it any different than Yayin Nesech? The Darsh Meimar, money, the Kunya, these Kalim of Kunya, Bein Ochma, Bein Chiyura, these earthenware Kalim, whether black, whether white, Bein Yeruk, whether green, Shari. He said they're mutter. What's going on? So maybe you'll tell me Chametz Daraisa. Maybe that's the differentiation. No way. Called the Rabbanan came Daraisa. We know that whenever we made a Din Darabanan, we made it similar to the Daraisa Takin. So what's the reason that Yayin Nesach were allowed to put in the earthenware Kalim? Another such a tremendous rule. It's the third one. First we had today, we had something might break, you can't gash it. We had today Kiboli Kach Bolte, the way that it goes in and comes out. And now this is an extension of Kiboli Kach Bolte. Then when something is used with heat, that could be that absorbs the bliya. When it's used with cold, it does not absorb the bliya. And that's the reason why the wine you're able to use for other items. Amar Rav Barabba, Amar Rav Chia Barashi, Amar Shmuel, Kol HaKelim Shal Shmishim Mem Chametz B'Tzainon Mishav Shem Matzah Chutz Min Beis Sar. Any item that is used for chametz with something cold, you're allowed to use with matzah. You're allowed to use on Pesach for cold pashtos. What does that mean? Maybe something that's used with cold, that means it doesn't have any blias. It's not really chametzik. So I could use it on Pesach without any issue, but let's leave it at that. Chutz mi beisayir, which is some yeast dohuk. Why? Because it's very sharp. The yeast used to sit in there for a long time and it would absorb in. We'll speak about that in 1 second. Ravashi says, Ravashi, beisar, and this spice rack is like a beisar. Why? Similarly, it goes in very hard, meaning it's hard to get it out. These troughs, the kneading troughs of mechuzah, since they're always used to kneading them, chamira is more machmira mashibu chamira kebei soyar. I'm sorry, the chamira, they will put sourdough in it. Mashibu chamira, they will leave the sourdough inside it. Kebei soyar shechimutzay kasha dami, that it sits in there and it goes inside. Pshita says Gemara, Ma'otim, I would have thought it came into the Rev Chaya since it's very wide. Shalbu avir, there's a lot of air. V'lo bali early and it doesn't absorb, kamashla not. And here we're seeing another tremendous rule. This really will answer a question that many people are wondering about the ayin nesach. That when something sits in a vessel for 24 hours, pashas, machlik is exactly how long, but when something sits in a vessel for a long time, let's just say 24 hours for argument's sake, the belia, the absorbed taste, goes into the item even without any heat. So says the Gemara, these kneading troughs, these dough hooks, that the chametz is sourdough is sitting there for a long time, even though there's no heat, it's going to go inside, and therefore you're not going to be able to kasher it. Similarly, by yayin nesach, if anyone was wondering, we wrote a whole book on it. What's the shayla about the shari gas? There's no heat there. The answer is because it sits in there for definitely 24 hours, very often 24 months, and that's the reason why it's a big shayla. And we can talk about that another time. We'll pick it up from the Mishnah tomorrow.